do you want?
Is, and I need you to learn how to say you're sorry.
Okay, fine. I'm really sorry, okay?
Know how to say you're sorry and actually mean it.
Just give me my phone.
Andy, are you there?
He can't hear you no more. He's already dead.
Can you see him?
On a rainy early morning, a man named Tom Cooper sits alone in his truck outside his ex-wife's house. His life has completely fallen apart. After failing to keep a steady job for more than a year, his wife left him for another man, believing he had become nothing but a loser. Having already made up his mind, Cooper removes his wedding ring and swallows a few pills. Then, with a hammer in one hand and a jerrycan in the other, he steps out into the pouring rain. Without a moment of hesitation, he smashes the front door with a hammer and brutally kills both his ex-wife and her new husband. He then pours gasoline throughout the house and sets it on fire. Instead of fleeing, Cooper simply gets back into his truck and silently watches the flames consume the house. Neighbors soon notice the fire, but Cooper doesn't care and calmly drives away. A few hours later, the murders become the morning's biggest news story. The news reports that stress and financial pressure are making people snap, even over a simple car horn. At that moment, a man named Freddie switches off the television and tells his nephew Kyle that real lives are no way to start a peaceful morning. Unfortunately, Kyle's home is anything but peaceful. His parents are in the middle of a divorce. His father wants to claim the family house, but Kyle's mother, Rachel, refuses because she bought it with her own income. She is hesitant to file a complaint, worrying that it could drag the divorce proceedings out even longer. She tells her lawyer, Andy, that she will think it over and give him an answer later that afternoon before ending the call. Rachel has already overslept, leaving her late to take Kyle to school. As if the morning is not frustrating enough, she notices her neighbor proudly showing off a brand new car. She brushes the annoyance aside and keeps driving, passing the time by asking Kyle a few spelling questions. Soon they run into another traffic jam. Worried about being late again, Kyle reminds his mother that he will be punished if he misses school on time. Rachel asks Kyle to find another route using her phone, but he quickly notices that it has no passcode. Surprised, he warns her that anyone could access it if it were stolen. Rachel explains that she removed the passcode after nearly crashing while trying to unlock the phone behind the wheel. She decides to take a different route instead, even though it is much longer. Just then, her ex-husband calls to discuss the house. Kyle answers first, excitedly asking whether they have tickets for tomorrow's game. His father apologizes, explaining that he has an unexpected work trip, before changing the subject back to the divorce. Seeing Kyle's eyes fill with disappointment, Rachel gently comforts him, saying that his father is simply busy, before ending the call. Unfortunately, the bad morning is still not over. The road ahead comes to a complete stop once again. Just then, Rachel's biggest client calls to ask whether she will arrive on time. She honestly explains that she is stuck in heavy traffic and asks for just a few more minutes. Hearing the disappointment in the client's voice, Rachel quickly tries to take back her excuse, but it is already too late. The client fires her on the spot and hangs up. On a road where she only needed to drive 8 miles, Rachel loses her biggest client because of a traffic jam. She switches into another lane and drives past the long line of cars. Eventually, they clear the traffic and stop at another intersection, where a pickup truck remains completely still even though the light has already turned green. Losing her patience, Rachel repeatedly blasts the horn while driving around the truck. The driver turns out to be Tom Cooper. At the next red light, Cooper pulls up beside Rachel's car. He gives a light courtesy tap on his horn before politely asking whether she really meant to honk at him like that. Rachel bluntly replies that she did it on purpose because he failed to move when the light turned green. Cooper apologizes for being distracted and asks Rachel to apologize for her rude behavior in return. Rachel refuses without hesitation, insisting that she has nothing to apologize for. Something inside Cooper finally snaps. He warns Rachel that she has no idea what a truly bad day looks like, but promises that she is about to find out. A moment later, Cooper speeds ahead and suddenly slams on the brakes directly in front of Rachel's car, leaving her shocked and terrified. Realizing that something is seriously wrong, Rachel quickly turns onto another road. Cooper sits in the middle of the street, staring straight at her. After a while, he finally pulls off, giving Rachel a brief sense of relief. Trying to calm both herself and Kyle, Rachel asks about his favorite Fortnite strategy. Knowing Rachel's move, Kyle plays along, explaining that he and Uncle Freddy always land in a location they know well. One of them distracts the enemies while the other crashes into them with a golf cart. The conversation helps them settle, and she finally drops Kyle off at school. Although he is late once again, Kyle does not complain. He simply reminds his mother not to be late when picking him up later. After leaving the school, Rachel calls her lawyer, Andy, and tells him everything that happened with the truck driver. She immediately changes her mind about waiting until the afternoon and arranges to meet him as soon as possible. Before heading there, she notices her fuel is almost empty and stops at a gas station. While Rachel is inside paying for gas, Cooper pulls his truck in behind her car. Unsure what to do, Rachel stands there in silence. The clerk notices her fear and asks whether she wants him to call the police. A customer nearby overhears the conversation and says that waiting for the police could take all day. Instead, he offers to help. He promises to escort Rachel out of the station and write down the truck's license plate so she can report it later if the driver keeps following her. Rachel gratefully accepts. Without looking directly at Cooper, she quickly gets into her car while a helpful stranger reads out the truck's plate number and waves her on. Once Rachel drives away, the man warns Cooper not to try anything foolish, reminding him that his license plate has already been recorded. Cooper says nothing. Instead, he suddenly accelerates and deliberately rams the man into another passing vehicle, causing a horrific crash. Panicked, Rachel floors the accelerator and reaches for her phone to call for help. Only then does she realize it is gone. The next moment, Cooper races past her truck, holding Rachel's phone up through the window with a smug smile. Distracted by the sight, Rachel narrowly avoids a bus and accidentally drives onto a one-way street. A woman crossing the street yells at her, and Rachel quickly apologizes before speeding away. This time, however, Cooper is nowhere to be seen. Rachel quickly pulls into a parking area beneath a flyover and hides there, hoping she has finally lost him. While Rachel searches everywhere for her tablet, Cooper has already arrived at the restaurant where she was supposed to meet Andy. Calmly introducing himself, he tells Andy that Rachel asked him to apologize because she will be a little late. At first, Andy is suspicious. But after Cooper casually mentions Rachel's divorce, her losing a client, and several personal details that only a close friend would know, Andy lowers his guard. As they chat, Cooper even compares Rachel's situation with his own past and surprisingly defends her ex-husband, suggesting that maybe he has simply been trying his best all along. Andy shrugs it off and says the man has just been struggling to keep a steady job. Finishing his coffee, he prepares to leave for his next appointment. Just then, Cooper politely asks if he can borrow Andy's phone to call Rachel. Andy sees no reason to refuse and hands it over. Cooper dials a number, waits for it to connect, then gives the phone back. The phone begins ringing. It is Cooper's own phone, which he secretly planted inside Rachel's car earlier. Rachel answers, completely confused, insisting she has never heard of anyone named Tom Cooper. As Andy begins describing him, Cooper calmly takes the phone back and listens to Rachel's frightened warning. He tells her that all he ever wanted was a sincere apology. Rachel immediately apologizes, but Cooper can tell it means nothing. He asks whether Rachel is divorcing her husband so she can be with Andy instead. Before Rachel can answer, Cooper suddenly smashes a coffee mug into Andy's face, turns on the phone's speaker, and asks the question again. Rachel desperately denies everything, but Cooper refuses to believe her. Calling divorce lawyers nothing more than bloodsuckers, he brutally murders Andy right there inside the crowded restaurant while everyone watches in horror. Rachel apologizes over and over, desperate and terrified. Still, Cooper remains unsatisfied. He tells Rachel that her apology sounds like someone who has never accepted responsibility for a single mistake. Then he slowly begins reading every name from Rachel's contact list. Her client, her neighbor, her mother, her son, the school principal, even her ex-husband. Cooper orders Rachel to choose which one should die next. If she refuses, he promises he will make the choice himself. Rachel begs him to kill her instead. That answer only makes him angrier. He demands one final choice. With no other option left, Rachel chooses the client who fired her earlier. The call immediately ends. Rachel quickly dials 911, believing Cooper is heading toward her former client. But Cooper has already chosen a different target. While Freddie is watching the breaking news, Cooper is beating his girlfriend in the next room.
Neighbors say he was badly injured at the auto plant where he worked.
Hearing a faint noise, Freddie grabs a kitchen knife and searches for the intruder. Before he can react, Cooper appears behind him. Calmly, Cooper says that everything happening today is simply the consequence of Rachel's actions. Then, in one horrifying move, he shoves Freddie's girlfriend into the knife, making it look as though Freddie stabbed her himself. Knowing Rachel is already at Kyle's school, Cooper calls her and gives a new order. If she ever wants to see her brother alive again, she must take Kyle out of school within 3 minutes. With no choice left, Rachel rushes into the school office and desperately begs the principal for help, explaining that her brother has been kidnapped. Although the principal wants to follow normal procedures, she realizes the panic in Rachel's voice is genuine and agrees to release Kyle. The moment Kyle gets into the car, Rachel immediately calls Cooper again, hoping her brother is still alive. After making sure Kyle is in the car, Cooper orders Rachel to turn on the speaker. He then forces Freddie to read a letter that he made him write. The letter contains every word Cooper wished his ex-wife had said before leaving him. It describes Rachel as a selfish woman who only cares about herself. Every person who died today is her responsibility because her lack of kindness is what turned him into a monster. Before Freddie can finish reading, a police officer suddenly enters the house. Cooper immediately sets Freddie on fire and escapes through the back. The officer manages to shoot Cooper in the hand, but the wound is not enough to stop him, and he disappears once again. A short time later, Cooper calls Rachel and tells her that Freddie is dead. After hearing that Cooper has been shot, Rachel curses him, hoping he bleeds to death on the road. She says there are many people in her life she needs to apologize to, but Cooper will never be one of them. No matter how much Cooper threatens Kyle, Rachel refuses to back down. She calls him a psychopath and smashes it onto the ground. With no better option, Rachel heads toward the nearest police station. On the way, Kyle keeps searching for the missing tablet, believing Cooper may be tracking them through it. Fortunately, he finds it hidden beneath Rachel's seat. Just as Kyle is about to throw it out the window, Rachel stops him and instead asks him to use it to track her missing phone. The GPS shows that her phone is extremely close. Kyle nervously looks around. A moment later, Rachel notices her neighbor's car driving just ahead of them and immediately realizes the truth. Thinking quickly, Rachel pretends she has not noticed anything and drives beside a nearby highway patrol car. But just as she tries to warn the officer, Cooper suddenly rams the patrol vehicle from behind, sending it straight into an oncoming truck. The massive collision blocks the road as Cooper speeds after them once again. Kyle quickly calls 911 on the tablet, but the battery dies mid-call, leaving them completely cut off. At that moment, Rachel remembers Kyle's Fortnite game strategy. Instead of running, she decides to lure Cooper to her mother's old neighborhood. The streets are filled with nearly identical houses and confusing roads. Someone unfamiliar with the area can easily get lost there. Cooper stays right behind them, smashing aside several cars that block his path. As they enter the neighborhood, Rachel suddenly makes a sharp turn onto a narrow street. Cooper overshoots the intersection and races past them. By the time he reverses, Rachel's car has already disappeared among the maze of identical homes. Everything is going exactly according to her plan. While Kyle triggers the house's security alarm to alert the police, Rachel quickly prepares a trap outside. A few minutes later, Cooper finally finds the house. Rachel immediately crashes her car into the side of his vehicle, flipping his truck onto its side. But even that is not enough. Cooper is still alive and knocks her unconscious with a single punch before looking for Kyle. He kicks the front door open and calls out to Kyle, pretending to be a police officer. Hidden inside a secret room, Kyle stays quiet until Rachel crawls into the room, making Kyle scared and causing him to shout. The sound immediately gives away their hiding place. Cooper rushes in, drags Rachel out of the room, and repeatedly kicks her in the face before turning his attention back to Kyle. No matter how hard Kyle struggles, Cooper grabs him and pulls him out of the hiding place. Cooper turns around and punches Rachel back to the bed before grabbing a wire and wrapping it around Kyle's neck. As Kyle begins to lose air, Rachel forces herself up and drives a pair of scissors straight into Cooper's eye. Rachel does not give him another chance and kicks the scissors in once more, sending him straight to hell. A few moments later, the police officer who had rescued Freddie arrives at the house and tells Rachel that Freddie survived the attack and is recovering at the hospital. Relieved, Rachel and Kyle silently drive there together. But on the way, another driver suddenly cuts Rachel off at a green light. Her hand instinctively reaches toward the horn, but Rachel slowly lowers her hand and lets the other driver go. Kyle smiles and tells her that she made the right choice. And just like that, Tom Cooper showed Rachel what a truly terrible day looked like. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this recap, and I'll see you in the next one.